this property. The Ute tribe, which lives just directly adjacent to the property and has been there for hundreds of years, refers to this particular ranch as a place where it's the path of the skinwalker, they call it, meaning that an evil skinwalker, a shape-shifting witch of some sort, lives on that property, and they advise their tribal members to stay away from it as a result. We saw no indication that they really came from some other planet. They're definitely alien, but where they're from, we're not sure. Interactive nature of this phenomena, whatever this thing was, it's some kind of an intelligence. It seemed to have an entity, as Colm will tell you. It seems to be able to read minds and anticipate actions, and some of the games that it played with the surveillance equipment that was up there, it will just blow you away.
The rancher and his wife, this was in March of 1997, had just finished tagging this 84-pound calf that had been born in the middle of the night, and they moved about 300 yards down the way to tag another calf when the dog that was with them began to act strangely. So they turned around, and this was 10 o'clock in the morning at this stage. They turned around to see what the dog was acting up about, and they saw that the cow who had given birth to this calf was also acting strangely. So they ran back to check things out, and they found that the calf that they had just tagged had been completely stripped. All of the internal organs were gone. The rib cage was broken open. There was not a single drop of blood on the animal or in the animal, and this was in broad daylight over a 45-minute period with two eyewitnesses only 300 yards away. From what I saw personally, and from the multiple interviews that we did up on the Utah ranch, I think there's no doubt that there's a phenomenon up there. It may be more than one. It certainly manifests in many different ways. It does exhibit some kind of an intelligence. In other words, there were certainly a lot of different phenomena that happened that were very difficult to explain, except for some kind of a dimensional effect. You know, there were so many animal disappearances too that were very difficult to explain. We had, for example, 4 prize bulls on the ranch at one stage. They were in this corral, and the rancher and his wife went down to the other end of the property. They were talking about how valuable these animals were. When they arrived back, they found the corral empty, and they said, "Oh my God, our livelihood is ruined." They searched around the corral for a while, and then one of the rancher walked over to this very small white trailer that was at the end of the corral, and lo and behold, all 4 animals, huge 2,200-pound bulls, were packed into this white trailer, and there's really no way they could have got in there because there was no exit. So what could have lifted 4 extremely aggressive 2,200-pound bulls and put them into this narrow confines? The rancher went over, and he was so startled to see his animals in this narrow confined space that he banged on the sides of the thing, and it seemed like that banging actually triggered a release from some sort of a sleep. The animals appeared to be sort of sleepwalking. It began to sort of dance in front of the dog's jaws and lead them down towards this copse of trees, and the rancher was watching this as it unfolded. So the blue orb led the 3 dogs into this copse. The next thing the rancher heard were these agonized yelps of the dogs in mortal agony. Then it was silent, and he was too scared to go down there to investigate immediately. So the next day he went down, and he saw 3 rings of burnt grass down there, and in the middle of those rings were these greasy, black, oily substances. Obviously, he put the 2 and 2 together and said that the blue orb had actually incinerated his 3 favorite dogs, and that was actually the turning point for the decision to move off the ranch for the family in general. That happened in mid-1996.
So they literally were burned alive, probably.
They yelped in mortal agony.
Mm-hmm.
Asian, we set up 6 independent surveillance cameras to watch a particular hotspot of activity, because we thought that if we had cameras running 7/24, that we could at least capture some of these phenomena on camera. And 3 of the cameras were absolutely ruthlessly destroyed one day. Yeah, that was really the Gorman family's introduction to what was to become a whole series of really bizarre incidents. They were just unloading their furniture. They had arrived that day. They had put a couple of their prized calves at the corral. They had arrived that day. They were unloading furniture. They saw an animal at the distance that, even by any standards, was huge, and it was trotting in their direction. And the closer it got, the bigger it got, and they realized that it was a wolf heading in their direction. But it was not like your ordinary wolf. The animal trotted all the way up to them, and it came up to, this rancher is 6 feet tall. It came up to his chest. It was a huge wolf that was completely tame and very, very at ease in their presence. So it walked around them and then casually bounded over to the corral, grabbed a calf that was curious looking through the corral, grabbed its head in its jaws, and started to try to drag the calf through the corral. The rancher, of course, reacted immediately and got a large stick, baseball bat, and started hammering on the dog as hard as he could to no avail, or on the wolf to no avail whatsoever. So he grabbed his Colt 44 Magnum and pumped 2 bullets into the animal. That had no effect either.
Wow.
It began to let go, but it was still really hanging on. So he told the son to go into his house, grab a 30-06, and come out. This is a hunting rifle that would bring down an elk from 100 yards. So from point-blank range, he put one of these bullets into the wolf, and at that stage, the wolf began to back off, showing no signs of injury, didn't make any sounds, just looked, kind of gauging the situation, and then looked back at the calf to see if he was going to take another lunge at it. The rancher was getting really, really freaked out at this stage, so we put another hunting bullet into the animal, and this time the animal did flinch, but never actually whined or showed no other sign of injury, but backed off a little bit, so it was 30 feet away now. And then finally the rancher put a third 30-06 bullet into the animal, saw a piece of flesh flying off. At that stage, the wolf just turned around and casually trotted away from them.